everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones. Thank you guys so much for being here today. We have another fantastic show, of course, lined up for you guys. We are going to be talking about shapeshifters today and cryptids versus sound frequencies and tones. Okay, I know it may sound a little wild, right? But all of my shows are a little wild in some way. And this is right up the alley of a lot of the things we've been talking about lately. I really do enjoy talking about shapeshifters, okay, because there's a bunch of shapeshifters out there living among us. Okay, that's what I believe. And I got a little inspiration. I was listening to an interview that Max Spears did. And he was really talking about shapeshifters and the media. And I know we've covered that several times on my channel, but we're going to take quite a different angle on that today. And you know, Barry and I've got Barry Littleton here in the studio with me today. And Barry and I had decided we would talk about shapeshifters today and some different interesting cryptids and entities out there. And we had a lot of weird dreams last night, y'all. I had some weird dreams last night. And when I woke up, I had all these downloads. And one of the downloads was, I couldn't get it out of my head because it was so loud. It was sound frequencies and shapeshifting. Okay. And it was really, really loud. So we've added it to the show today. And I kind of changed the angle. Okay. On Barry today. So we're going to be talking about sound frequencies and tones and electronics versus shapeshifters. You know, we hear about these celebrities and people in the news media turning into like shape-shifting reptilians. Y'all know I'm going to get a Wikipedia thing underneath this video today. but nonetheless, we're going to talk about that today and much more. So if you guys would like to follow along with all of my shows, please go over to my website. That's thecryptidhuntress.com. And you can find all my social media links there and my calendar of events. And of course, in about a week and a half now, I've got the Georgia Bigfoot Conference coming up. Y'all come see me at that, please. It's going to be a great event. And that's going to be up in Demarest, Georgia. And you can get your tickets online there at the, I think it's georgiabigfootconference.com or .org. You can go to either one and get your tickets there. We do have a meet and greet Friday night, and the conference is all day on Saturday. So definitely come see me at that. It's going to be a good time. And also, I do have a Patreon if you guys would like to support my work, and a shop over at Laura Woman Goods. Thank you guys so much for all your support. It means the world to me. And shout out to all the new Hunt Club members. We had a few people that gave a lot of Hunt Club memberships over the weekend during my live show. So thank y'all so much for all that, all the donations, and all those donated memberships to some lucky people who are now part of the Hunt Club. So you guys can join it too by hitting that join button on my YouTube channel. All right. Well, let's get to our show today. Okay, because we are going to be talking about frequencies and tones versus cryptids. And I said lower vibrational entities, but they're not all low vibrational. They're all vibrations. And we're even going to get into the bells. Okay, the old world bells we're going to talk about today, and much more. Shapeshifters have the ability to physically transform themselves through unnatural means. The most commonly known shapeshifter is a human that turns into something else, but there are numerous stories about animals that can transform themselves too. Today, Barry's joining us to talk about those shapeshifters, such as the Tokoloshe and the Puka. We've talked about the Puka before, and the sound frequencies and that shapeshifting entities are known to run away from in a panic. Okay, we're even going to get into cathedrals today. We're going to talk about all the sound frequencies. So y'all go get the popcorn. Could this be why all the bells were destroyed back during the World War II era? They were buried away over the past century and destroyed. They weren't just buried away. They were melted down. They were cracked. They were completely destroyed. But why would that be? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Also, the standard music frequency has been altered over the years. Okay, so is that why some of us are a little more irritable when we listen to the radio? Probably. There's a lot of sound frequencies, a lot of sound weapons out there. And we're about to get into that today. Of course, first we want to talk about some shape-shifting entities. And there is one that is really fantastic. And that is the, what is it called? The Tokoloshe. man, y'all, I found some really cool connections to this one. Barry knows a little bit more about it than I do. So, of course, we have Barry Littleton here in the studio today. He is a trailblazing researcher. He has a live show planned for tonight, this evening, over on his YouTube channel. That's Barry Littleton. So, y'all come see us tonight. I'll be in the chat over on his channel tonight. Please help me welcome to the show our good friend, Barry Littleton. Hey, Barry.
Hey, what's up? Hey, greetings, Jessica. Greetings, audience. Sorry, I got here a little bit late this time. Wow. Thanks for having me on.
Of course.
To start this off, I want to ask you a question, and
okay.
You can feel free to decline. All right.
Okay.
But as both friends and colleagues, and as somebody who's also a bystander, okay. I am psychic. I'm a medium, but I do not technically remote view, and that's why I've not learned it, because I like the way that we work together with that. So I just want to ask you a question as somebody who's not in those circles. Okay.
Okay.
Technically, and you can decline, or a yes or no will suffice.
Okay. My face will obviously answer. I don't know what your question is, but pay no mind. I'm just going to turn my camera off.
Haven't you had as much training? And here's my question.
Okay.
Haven't you had as much training in remote viewing as Courtney Brown?
I have no idea. I don't know what kind of training he's had. I'm not sure. I don't know. Why do you ask?
I think it's a good question. I think it's a real good question.
Cool.
Anyway, going forward
to the
to the shapeshifters or whatever, but
yes.
That's cool. Just I think that maybe that should be examined a little by you, and just maybe knowing that you're capable of even more things, whether it be teaching or whatever you might decide to do one day. I think it's just things for you to think about, all right? And you've always pushed me forward. I didn't want to do. I'm going live tonight. Now that my butt did not want to never do no lives. I have gotten out of doing those since the beginning of YouTube.
Yes, I'm so glad you've done them though. They're so good.
They're kind of interesting. I find them rewarding, and they're a little more engaging. In my videos, I was confined to a very small time frame on each video. That was the deal. So in those lives, it's not like that. But I'm not going to go 3 hours anymore. I promise you that. Anyway,
that was a good one though. Yeah, 3 hours. I think I went and made dinner and ran some errands and then came back, and I was still in your chat. So that was awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate you and everybody that came. It's a trip.
Of course, we support you. Listen, you support me. I support you. I always got your back. And I always learn a lot during your lives, and when you're here on my channel too, on all your videos. I mean, every single thing that I brought up to you last night and this morning, you literally had a video for every single thing. Every single idea that I had, you had a video for it that went back 5-6 years ago, or even up until the present. I was so impressed.
Well, thank you. It's supposed to be that the videos are all short, but they're to be a database. It gives you the references and the things for people that like to do their own research, the key points to where it cuts some of that out, and you can learn it for yourself. Doesn't matter what I say, really. You know what I mean? It's about just really disseminating the information. And I think right now we got, so many people that are so tied up in being famous right now and stuff that it's not. You know what I mean? I mean, it's kind of disappointing. I mean, we both come against that a lot, and that's something that we don't deal with each other, which is that negative stuff and that need. Like right now, you're doing this because it is fun. I'm doing it because I don't want to die again without getting this stuff done. You know what I mean? But
I know.
But it's cool, So just always remember, you can do whatever. You may start teaching one day. I know myself and a bunch of people would take a class with you if you decide to do that one day. No pressure.
Thank you.
Just one of those things. I wanted to, just throw
You're hyping me up. Man, you're hyping me up. Maybe I will one day. It would be fun. And, I like to do what I love to do. And I was actually going to ask you for your autograph, Barry. So I'm just kidding.
Oh wow, yeah.
No, we
I'm
just
sure. I'm sure. I'm sure that'll get you past the gates of hell, right? Come on in. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding.
I was going to ask you. You're going to have to walk around with the shark. We used to joke around over in Spaced Out Radio with Dave and those guys. We'd say we're going to have to walk around, with a Sharpie and some headshots. We were just kidding, though. We're just kidding everybody. Okay, it was a joke. So it's funny we can joke about it, but hey, today, speaking of famous people, okay, people in the media and just people that are out there on a public stage, on public platforms, namely the news media. Okay, there's some conspiracies. We can call them conspiracies, but I think they're not all 100% conspiracies. Okay, we call them conspiracies of humans shapeshifting, Barry. Namely, people in like I said, actors and actresses, and I'm kind of talking about like reptilian shapeshifters. Okay, when it comes to that, and we've covered it on the show many times. You and I have talked about reptilians plenty of times, but humans that are shapeshifting. Okay, and I wanted to talk to you today about different cryptids that shapeshift, actually, and I figured let's just get straight into the first one we're going to talk about. Because my goodness, I want to get into the frequencies, of course, after we talk about this one. But you have one out of South Africa that just blew me away. It actually is. It's going to probably be one of my favorite cryptids. Actually, do you want to tell us about it?
You know what's a trip that this is coming up now, because I cannot tell you how many weeks I have resisted giving you that as a blind target.
Really?
And I didn't do it because those creatures are mischievous in a way, and I think they're very negative. And I didn't want, you know what I mean? It's just like, and I already hit you with the missing 411 stuff and that blasted what was that damn doll with the nails in the eyes?
The Catskill crone.
Yeah, the crone. Yeah, those are kind of negative targets. I try not to get too much. And this creature here is negative. You know what I mean? Anyway, so this is if I'm pronouncing it right, the Tokoloshe. Okay, and it is when I first had heard about this, I mean, it's been years ago, but it was always described as being something more like a gremlin or some type of a dwarf or something of that nature that was mischievous. Yeah, some of that more of that nature. But then I heard the legendary Honorable Sangoma Krita Mudawa talking about them. Okay. And this is what he said. So I actually went back and caught some things. There you go. And that's actually, the necklace, the necklace of the mysteries that he has on there. And he got mugged and robbed when he was older than he was there on a train, and it was stolen. But that's something that was supposed to be actually buried with him, is what he said. It was 500 years old or older. One of those is, I don't know, it's not visible there, but one of those looks like kind of a spaceship, and it's got these rocks in it. And the story behind that is that this woman was, the Zulu woman was getting some water from the river or something, and she had a battle with this reptilian. And when she gets back to her child, her baby, it's playing with this extraterrestrial. I'm not sure what type, but it's extraterrestrial, and it was obviously not like us. And she immediately thought, "Oh my God!" Tried to go get the kid and yank it away, and it was stopped by the extraterrestrial mother. And started telling telepathically, because what these kids were doing, where they were playing with these rocks that glowed from the inside, and they were just having a blast playing with each other. And the mother told the human mother, "Just let them play."
What?
And when it was over, she said, "Keep those rocks." And I know that y'all's society is based in fear, but one day when y'all are past the war and past the fear, my people will come back and all of our children will play together. So keep the rocks. And those are the rocks that he had in that thing. Anyway, sorry, we're supposed to be talking about something else. But
well, wait a
I think
second.
stuff like that is kind of cool to hear some of the more positive stuff, because he's got tons of negative stuff. He talked about reptilians and other things. Anyway, sorry, Jessica. Going back.
No, I was wondering if he ate that alien. Is that the one that he took a bite of?
No, that's one that he said there. He calls them Umantaid, Unamantes, but they're what we call grays. Okay, and he said that part of the ritual for him to become a Sangoma was they had to eat pieces of this, what's called the pieces of a god. He describes eating a hand, and another experience eating these little pieces of meat. And what it was a gray, is what he said. He said that there war that happens between the tribe and the grays, because the grays they call them, that word Unamanti means torture of humanity. Okay, and
Oh wow.
And he said that when he ate that piece of this gray, that it makes you real sick for 2 days, and it might kill you. If it doesn't kill you, then you go into a euphoria that's beyond DMT. Okay, cool. Hold that picture.
Okay.
Okay. So the Tokoloshe is, I think it's one of them up there. Those are all made by Credo Mutua there. Okay, I don't see the Tokoloshe on there, but there is the one, I believe, that is the there's one called the TC Fufu that was like a type of a Mothman. I don't see that one there either, but the Mothman, that's the one that's seen in South Africa, and it's described, as much as we hear the Mothman described, but it's described as having wearing boots. I see these are from civilization. Yeah,
that's wild.
And
Boots
these
on the ground.
are different than the American Mothman. Is anyone that sees one of those Sifi fufus, they die. They become blind. They soon after eventually become blinded, and that's where some of the things, if you see a god, you get blinded, comes from. Anyway, so interesting. So going back to this Tokoloshe, okay, Tokoloshe, I think it's saying. Anyway, it I always saw it described as being dwarf-like, or something more like gremlin-like, that type of a deal. But when I heard Credo Mutua talking about it, he described it differently, and I gave you one of those pictures too. He described it as a very short, almost hairy creature with the red eyes and the face similar to that of a demonic-looking teddy bear. A demonic teddy bear face, and he said, and they have these long pointed ears. And I'll just tell you some things. I went back and looked through my notes and stuff and found some things that he said about them. Okay, he said it's the most. First of all, start off. Okay, let's get this separate. This, he says, is an extraterrestrial. He says when UFOs are seen, the Tokoloshes show up soon after. And they're always the harbor of bad things happen not long after they appear. The cycle that they're seen in, always bad stuff happens. You know what I mean? Or yeah. So as he described them, that word Tokoloshe is a bridge that they have over their eyebrows. See, and we don't see many depictions of them like that, so I don't think they are looking like what they actually do. Which to me, when he was describing them, to me, they sounded like evil-looking, skinny Ewoks with horrible, you know what I mean? Like not quite Ewoks, but something worse than that.
Or a gremlin.
I mean? Not
what
so
about
cuddly,
Gizmo?
probably at all,
But, I was thinking Gizmo, Barry. The whole time I was thinking Gizmo and the Gremlins when I was reading about these. But these are tiny. These are more like a puckwudgie. But when they turn into a gremlin,
you know, one of my favorite parts of that movie was
the microwave scene. I'm just kidding.
No, when they tossed him down the laundry chute, the trash. Gizmo Kaka, and they kicked him down there. I thought that was great. Anyway, okay.
Well, those are shapeshifters, right? Those are shapeshifters. If you feed them after midnight, if you get them wet,
yeah. We don't want to go down the rabbit hole too far, because you remember what I believe they were modeled off of.
What?
I think it was the Hopkinsville, Bakersfield goblins. Yeah, extraterrestrials. I think that's what those were.
Could be.
They were designed on. They look quite similar. You know what I mean?
So do these, Barry. These do, because they had those big ears like this, right? They look similar to all of this, if you ask me.
Yeah, they have the high ears. See that at least that one has hair there, but that looks more like, you know what that looks like to me? one of those things from Critters.
Critters, that's right.
Things that would roll. You know, somebody would like, get their roll on.
Yeah. Oh
Okay, man, I gotta try to stay serious here. Okay, people would get
They
mad.
also look like
He's
little
laughing too much.
Bigfoot.
But
I mean, that looks like a Bigfoot.
Something I want to say about that actually. And when I had first saw that, I mean, it's been years ago now, Jessica, and I thought maybe it was being because they're not just in South Africa, but they're also reported in the Pacific Islands quite a bit. And that made me think that it might possibly be a mistaken for a orang pendek. I didn't see any pictures of that, but the orang pendek is supposed to look slightly more baboon-like, but not just a smaller version of like Sasquatch and things. But it's the one that walks, and every time they say it's seen, it throws its arms up like that or something. Man, the orang pendek. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Of the Sasquatch family or whatever. Anyway, okay, so they reveal themselves to children quite a bit. They play with children, but then they also assault them. Oh. And Credo was describing that they'll find these three finger claw marks on kids' back. They grab hair and do all sorts of stuff. He described some places in South Africa, they have these beds. They put their beds like 3 feet above the ground with these stones that are supposed to repel the Tokoloshe somehow. Okay, but that's like we're known for that. Going all the way to when you go into the Pacific Islands, so you have some Polynesians that have their huts on those poles, on those stilts way up there. They said they did that because there was a hostile hairy animal that they had to protect themselves for. And he was saying that, when they start describing this creature to him, he says this Tokoloshe they were talking about. And he's saying that these beings aren't just phasing out. He's saying that they're physical and they're extraterrestrials and they assault people. And then he went into something else, which is that sorcerers of old, men they're able of controlling perception, control the Tokoloshe to assault people. And the Tokoloshes are known to especially assault women.
Gosh, it sounds a whole lot like alien abductions, if you ask me. Screen memories. I don't know. It's almost a little demonic, some would say.
Someone that gets attacked, this is what Credo said, anyone that gets attacked by one of these creatures goes insane for about a year. Horrible insanity, and then they come out of it. It just disappears after a year.
For a year. And then they snap out of it. Wow. That would suck. That would really suck.
He described as a healer working with many people and treating many people that have these injuries from these creatures, from these Tokoloshe. And he said that is the most mentioned extraterrestrial type creature in all South Africa.
No way.
Yes, that's what he said.
That's wild. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, what are the odds of this happening, Barry? Just a quick commercial break here, or a detour. What are the odds of people claim that they have seen Bigfoots coming off of spacecraft or in spacecraft? Could that be the Tokoloshe or some variant of that potentially? Do you think instead of it being like a Bigfoot?
I thought about that, and before I couldn't mention who those people were. I couldn't remember their names. No offense to them. They're nice guys. Pork and Beans. On there, Michael Harrell, and he was talking about during an interview that I did with them. He was talking about in Peru, and I'd heard that before. In Peru, they've been talking a lot about these ships that have these small Ewok-looking Sasquatch things on them. But they're actually running the ships. They're advanced. They're not like just slaves or something or like that. It's their technology, their thing. And you don't hear much about that here and around here, but we're so isolated from, some things. We're talking about shapeshifting, and something I want to remind you of that you probably forgot. Another blind target I gave you was GCE Peru. and Gladys Cordova's property out there, and then all that stuff she has. And it's fascinating when she has some of that stuff that turn into these. First they put humanoids, then they turn into what look like what, dryer sheets, or almost pieces of paper flying around and flying into those portals and stuff.
Yeah, it's weird.
And she started. You know, she speaks a little English, but we were messaging back before, and she was telling me, said she just called them entities of unknown origin, like ERE or something. She calls them or something like that. But yeah, I mean, that stuff, like when dealing with shapeshifting, it's fascinating because that one guy that I told you that I was really looking at, that's walking down the mountain, the bizarre man, he like turned into one of those pieces of paper and was whipping around. Sometimes they turn into birds. She's got that stuff all on film. It's good to look at her website or her YouTube channel, GCE Peru, and you and I did a remote viewing over it.
We did, and she watched our show that night. Do you remember that? I think she watched the show and everything. Or she saw it at some point. They looked like paper towel, like slight, like pieces of paper towels just floating around and stuff. It was just really freaking weird. But it's shapeshifting, and you know, and according to, you know, let's just say like Max Spears. I was listening to an interview he did a while back, and he was talking. He's a whistleblower, y'all. He was really into ufology, and he was blowing the whistle on aliens and spacecraft and stuff. And he met an untimely death back in, I think it was 2016. He did, and they actually talked about how black goo was coming out of his mouth when he died and stuff. So it was just really strange circumstances, right? But he was talking about how, you know, there are shapeshifters, you know, there are, you know, humans that do shapeshift and animals that shapeshift, but there's also, but more likely what we're experiencing is actually something that's projecting an image into our brains. Okay, into our mind. Images are being projected, so they're not actually shape-shifting. It's something that they're able to do to us, and that just reminds me of like the screen memories that, you know, ETs are able to put into our memories.
Well, that's virtual reality scenario technology, virtual reality technology. You know, Dr. Carla Turner really had advised people about that, and I can speak personally for myself, especially back in the '90s when I came across her work. I had these experiences. I was missing time. Okay. And I mean, and I went for a long time being this arrogant cat. Oh, I'm not like Betty and Barney Hill. I remember everything happened to me, and I was conscious, you know. And it was a physical experience, but the truth is, for the missing time I had, what I could remember was a fragment, and it was insufficient. You know what I mean? So I was against hypnosis, and then but I learned it, and then trying to hypnotize myself, and I couldn't do it. I hypnotized other people just like that, but couldn't do it to myself. You know what I mean? So I had to go and let somebody actually deal with me and take me there and learn what my superconscious and my subconscious had recorded that I wasn't able to consciously access. And realizing, whoa, things are going way more than what I thought. But one of the main things I wanted to learn was about screen memories, and make sure, for being from the air capital of the world, I had to make sure that, you know, there's a huge Air Force bases on the side of my town. So I had to make sure that I wasn't being, what's the name? Brother would say, making sure I wasn't getting got. Yeah, right. And then missing the time during the experiences only made it worse, because the further you get from the event horizon, the more the retention of memory starts fading, and it gets fragmented. Maybe is a better word, but that's disturbing. You know what I mean? So it makes you like, oh my gosh, is Uncle Sam doing that to me or something? You know.
Anyway, well, a lot of people that have those experiences just want to forget it anyways. You know, there's just something about it that's like a lot of people just don't want to know. I mean, you know me, you've talked to me about all the times that I should get a regression. I'm like, well, I've had so many weird things happen and so many ET experiences. I don't know if I want to know right now. You really got to be ready for it. You got to be super solid and grounded to dig into stuff like that, because it could be pretty heavy.
That is true, you know, because my experiences were all positive, okay? But then when I got that first regression, I was thinking, like, it's not going to work on me. But, you know what I mean? But it did, because I can't relax. I'm one of them brothers. I can't relax. I'm all tripped out. You know what I mean? So I'm not easy to hypnotize, you know what I mean? But I did, and then the information I got, then it opened up even more questions. I was, oh, my God. And then one of the sixth one I did, they're answering the regressionist through me. I don't channel like that, okay? Not in that way anyway. And that was disturbing. Try to deal with that, even though it wasn't a negative deal. It was just a trip. You know what I mean? So I understand what you mean. So even me, Mr. Pro, I was blown away, tripped out, man. As my brother Mitch would say, you're freaking out, man.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I was just looking through the comments over here, Barry, and I saw Lenita. Hey, Lenita Bryant's in the chat. She says, I have a friend who was abducted at age 5. She remembers Bigfoot on the ship.
Right on.
Wow.
Okay. I've had some regressions where people have seen Sasquatch type beings on board a craft.
Wow.
One of them was even a past life regression. So I understand, but the last one I had encountered when it was different. This was described as being, 10 plus feet tall, about 12 probably, and wearing some type of a uniform, highly decorated uniform, and claiming it was something like we would say somewhere the blueprint of humanity, the Adam Kadmon exists. And I think maybe it's androgynous. Credo Mutawa says we were androgynous on this planet until the reptilians came, and they're the ones that genetically put us into sexes. So we would war with each other. I don't know if that's true, but it's a fascinating concept, isn't it?
Did you say that we would war with each other?
Yes.
The men against the women, or the humans against the reptilians?
The men against the women.
Oh my gosh.
And
there's so many things that would divide us, right?
And you already have the racial factors. You throw that in there, that makes it a little worse.
Oh my
All
gosh.
sorts of good things to make people trip out on each other. You know what I mean? It's
That's why we all need to come together, y'all. We got to come together, and just one big human race, right?
But check this out. But when I'm going to take us off topic, but I'm getting too excited. Sorry. But
okay.
When he talked about the Nomo, he says, he describes how the ship came down into this valley, but as it comes down, this water just started rushing down the mountains, filling up this valley from places where there was no water. And it makes a pool in the valley, and the ship lands in it and floats around for a day or two before the Nomo emerge. And they come out on this plank. And when they come out on the plank, that they can't hardly walk out on the plank. And some of them got in the water, were swimming around out there, and they sit out. And the king came out they all had these staffs that almost sound like stoplights, the colors on them. And the king had this jewel on top of his crown that was as bright as the sun, is what Credo said. And they stayed there and taught for like a couple of days or whatever the time frame was. Then at the very end, the leader pulls out this device and kills himself. Suicide right in front of all of them. And in the Nomo and some of the some of the Zulu, the tribe, carry him and dissect him and cook him over a sacred fire and eat him together.
Oh gosh, I think we talked about that the last time you came on. We mentioned that.
Okay, we'll go back.
Yeah, I think we did, because I'm remembering it. We were talking about eating the alien.
What kind of leadership is that, man? That's a serious leader here, man. That's more than Captain Kirk, man.
They on a new level over there, for real. It's on a whole different level. It's a whole different level. But I mean, we're living in strange times too. I saw somebody in the audience asking about They Live, that movie, because that is a pretty interesting movie where, the gentleman is Rowdy Rod Piper. That's one of your dudes, Barry.
It's a wrestler.
He's a wrestler. He's in that movie, and he's got those special glasses that he puts on, and he's able to see beyond the 3D, let's just say. And I've got a poster for that. I think that, I did a show on the dicyanin dye goggles, Barry, and that is that dye that they were putting into goggles, and they were testing it out during the Vietnam War, and the soldiers, I think it was like helicopter gunners, would put them on, and they started shooting at the friendly helicopters around, because what they said was they were seeing demons. They were literally watching as demons, things from another realm, were flying up next to the helicopter, and they were freaking out. They said it was like hell. That's what they were seeing. They take the goggles off and it was fine. It's just a normal whatever. I mean, it's still not fine because they're fighting a war, right? But they didn't have demons flying up next to their helicopter, and there weren't piles of like dead bodies on the ground that they were seeing. It's just all this weird stuff, and it literally drove them crazy. It drove them mad, some of them. But this, that's what this reminds me of with that movie They Live. This gentleman puts on the glasses and he can see the true form of these low vibrational entities, these aliens that had taken over the daggone planet.
I remember he's in
That's
the
what
store.
we're talking about today.
He's like, lady, right now you look okay. I put these on, you look like last week's guacamole. Yeah.
That we used to call those beer goggles back when I was in college. Okay,
came to shoot
beer
it
goggles.
Bubble gum. Yeah, that's one of those immortal cult classics right there. But you know what's interesting about that? If you watch to the end of that movie, they were beaming over here from the Andromeda galaxy.
Oh,
they were coming from somewhere from Andromeda. They had that star portal thing in the basement of that city. Yeah. Anyway,
well, hey, you just said the star portal thing in the basement of a city. That sounds pretty similar to what's kind of going on right now. We've talked a good deal, especially with our Keem coming on, about the all the nautical stars if they're in front of like a hotel or even at the lobby of the CIA. Okay, has these nautical stars. They say, well, those are the buildings where they have jump rooms to different planets and to different all sorts of different places. So I don't know. In underground, we talk about all this underground stuff a lot too. These underground facilities, stargates, portals. That's all soft disclosure. That movie is soft disclosure. Okay, we could have never fathomed that being real back in whenever that came out. Right? It was like the 90s or the 80s. I can't remember. There's no way that can be real, but it is.
Early 90s.
Yeah.
I was going. So check this out. Just to throw something else on top of that, what you're saying with. I can never say that word. Is it dicyanin goggles?
Dicyanin. I mean, that's how I say it.
Okay. Now, being objectively, okay, contrary to somebody else on one of your shows that thought apparently I'm completely uninformed about most of these things, I have had a client. I've had several clients that were, quote, SSP type of interactions going on, okay?
Okay.
And one of them described being someone who was taking out of the gift program, as we hear that quite a bit now. That seems to be just a basic theme. So you have to be careful that that's not something that's being introduced by neuroweaponry and neural monitoring and hive mind. But that's another subject, okay?
Okay. Right.
Anyway, but something that they were doing was they were isolated, like they're one of 4 children who were taken to the base because they passed these gift programs or whatever the test. And then that's when stuff started happening to them at the base. And one of the things they're describing is being given these drugs, and they had screen memories. I had to break through them, but the screen memories of being giving these drugs in the water that allowed them to be exposed to time technology that had negative effects on the human body.
God, that sounds like
these drugs were to help to protect them from that. But then the other thing is that they're being used to call in a specific UFOs that are demonic, very high demonic, so demonic that only so many can call these creatures. Okay. And some of the names that they gave me was a couple of ones that are almost biblical, horrible names of some of those horrible fallen ones. Those are the names that they're giving. A couple of them anyway. Okay.
Really?
And then, but one thing I'm getting too far off. One thing they described is before that is being exposed to these goggles, these glasses. But these glasses, when put on, projected a complete alien. There you go. A complete alien environment that was full of smells and was just as real as being here. But there were these different alien environments. And these glasses, they sounded maybe a little different than I don't even want to say the word, I'll butcher it. But they might be a little different than them, but it was something so unique. And I mean, like virtual reality plus, you know what I mean? Something totally different. I've mentioned before, I've been in the presence of non-humans, and I can't speak for everybody else's contact experiences and not the ones that are astral. I'm not disrespecting those at all. But when you're physically in the biofield of a non-human, it's something different going on. Okay. First of all, is it's mind blowing, and 2 is the vibration they have, and 3 is trying to overcome the slight elation around some I've told you before, it feels like what the gurus call Shaktipat a little bit.
Oh, wow.
And I think that can be very, very dangerous, which is a raising of the Kundalini when you get in the biofield of some of these creatures. But even more than that, some of them have the ability to project a virtual reality scenario environment to you through the optic nerves consciously. They don't need any technology, okay? They do it right there by looking at you. And all of a sudden, boom, you're somewhere else. Everything around you has changed. That's extreme manipulation of consciousness in a virtual reality way that's mental and on another level. You show me one person who can right there get in front of me and all of a sudden, boom, they're looking at me and all of a sudden, boom, I'm standing somewhere else. Whoa. Yeah, you give me one person. That's a level that we know. The stuff like that made me very, very aware of Carla Turner and really investigate my own experiences to make sure I hadn't been in quote unquote one of these programs, these things, and I'm not. And I get irritated sometimes. You come across some of these SSP people there. You were part of the program. I remember you. You just can't accept it. No, you don't. And no, I wasn't. Don't tell me my experiences because they don't conform with what you want them to be. You know what I mean? If I wasn't, I would tell you right now. If I was, hey, I got jacked. I would tell you.
Right.
I'm not kidding. I would tell you, hey, that happened to me too. That stuff happened to me. But it's not. Something different happened to me. And it's something that I think is worthy that happens to so many people. I'm not special. I think 80% of our population has had intense contact. But it's at a point right now, what about our contact can change our life and help our planet? That's really what this is about. Not about, is it really happening? Anyway, sorry. We're back to the Tokoloshe. They suck. They suck.
Well, no. Well, we're talking about the shape-shifting, okay, and being able to project something into our mind, okay, to where it's almost like holographic, right? Something that's kind of holographic, or just it's something that only we can see. I mean, it's really wild. That's why we brought in the They Live movie, of course, because he puts on those glasses, he puts on the goggles, the cyan dye goggles, I guess. His look more like those blue blockers. Remember those, Barry? Blue blockers? Those are my favorite. Okay. He puts on the blue blockers. And man, if I could get my hands on a set of those today, that'd be cool. But anyways, they were, I think they call them oxidized or something. But these allowed him to see another reality, the reality that was right in front of his face, but it's just the general public is lulled to sleep. We are deceived. We don't really know what's going on, but there's all these, what is it called? The semiotics. I took a course in college on semiotics. I think is what it's called. Signs everywhere, right? Things that like obey. That's where that street artist got his idea from. What's his name? It's obey, So anyways.
Okay, yeah, that was on the sides, wasn't it?
It was.
Give in. Yeah. Hate them all, the sides he's looking at. Yeah.
Exactly.
But when you look at the way we're food for predators here, that is essentially true. And you see, and the thing is that the real predators, the worst ones, they're not the black shadows. They're like completely invisible. Just like our emotions are invisible. Now you can see them come out of us. You know what I mean? They're not once we process them, they're not invisible anymore. But then themselves, our feelings and emotions themselves are invisible. Just like those voices. Someone in your show last time mentioned Jerry Marinsky. And I had done a video on Patreon only, and it was about voices, but it was kids I used to talk to. I wasn't hip to him. So people in my Patreon group say, you check him out. I was like, whoa, he went really heavy with it. But he saw the same patterns and stuff like I had seen. You know what I mean? And it's real. And I just worked with juveniles, psychiatric, not the prisons like he was. Something totally else. And then eventually you start getting that, like I got to step back from from doing like earth. I've done a lot of earthbounds. A lot of times during these earthbounds, I've done probably 800 earthbounds I've crossed over. But many times I've come up against something that's attached to somebody that's demonic. And they do certain things they can't do that will clue me immediately that it's not an earthbound. I had a couple of them last time. The clients told me, oh my God, these things, they just hate you. So what do you mean? They're pointing all these arrows at you. They hate you. There's a bunch of them too. They don't like us. It's been like that for quite some time, but it's like, geez, man. Let me be like Doctor Who and regenerate real quick. Keep my shields up, man. Make sure. Anyway, point being, let's talk about. You want to talk about something a little different when it comes to shapeshifters?
Honestly, I wanted to kind of make a comparison real quick because we had talked about. Okay, we've got the Tokoloshe right here, right? And and I did say they kind of reminded me of the Gremlins. You know, we've made our comparisons to all that. But also, there's another entity that we discussed on the show before, and that is the Puka. Okay, and this is actually from the Irish, legend of the Puka, and that is also a shape-shifting entity as well. It's usually seen as a rabbit or a horse or a person. It's kind of demonic looking as well. Sometimes they can have horns on them, but it looks something like a chimera kind of. But they're tricksters, and they fit the exact description as far as personality-wise. If you want to give them a personality, the characteristics are very close to the Tokoloshe out of South Africa. So, but people all over the United States, but it's a lot in Europe, especially in Ireland, they talk about the Puka and encountering the Puka. And I think that there's a connection to the Fae, actually, when it comes to some of these as well, right?
That's not the same thing as a pud wedgie, is it?
Puckwudgies are different. Yeah, puckwudgies are a little different. Those puckwudgies kind of look like these too, though. Okay, little gremlins, little gizmos. Yeah. They kind of look like those a little bit. That's the cute one. Don't get it wet. Yeah. Don't get that thing wet. Also, we were making that comparison last night that you mentioned the kappa too, the Japanese kappa. and I was reading somewhere where the Tokoloshe, some of them actually have a bowl type of a shape on top of their heads as well. And they are used by witches. Okay. They said used by witches to use them as a cup to drink out of. I know that sounds really freaking weird, right? But that's what some of the lore says about them.
The knowledge of some of the old quote unquote sorcerers and novels was pretty remarkable. You had people that could control so much perception that they would do things like make a box, what we would call similar to Orgone box now. But if you think about how entities will use not just boxes, but like closets. Ever wondered why ghosts seem to be in closets and come out of closets a lot?
Portals or something?
With kids. No, it's the Cashmere effect. It's the Cashmere effect. When you're in a situation like that, the energy starts, the 0 point energy builds up and they get stronger. And they'll come out and they're able to materialize and manifest more. So that's one of the reasons there. Anyway, so there were boxes or crystals or devices that these old sorcerers had that they would use to trap inorganic beings. And then once they trapped them, they would feed them with negative emotions because that's what they survive on, some of these. And they feed them negative emotions, then release them out of the contraption to attack people, put them on people. That was a common practice. Some of the old quote unquote sorcerers, aka shamans, all these different words, medicine men, some of these ones of the first cycle, they're terrifying tricksters, shrewd tricksters. And a lot of what they practiced was devoid of love. Anybody that followed Carlos Castaneda and noticed some of the things that his teacher was doing to him were devoid of love. And he sometimes be like, "Oh, Don Juan, why are you doing this to me?" And he'd be like, "Man, you're lucky I like you. It's nothing like what my teacher did to me." You know what I mean? So things like that, so I used to have a dislike for the first cycle because it was devoid of love. I remember it, but I'm proud to be part of this new cycle now, which is a different thing going on. It's maybe the flipping of that. Some horrible things have happened here. Anyway, sorry, but that's just one way that perhaps they're able to control these Tokoloshes also. But the interesting thing is that they're not just by credo, they're described as being physical, not as much these beings that are unmanifested, that they're physical extraterrestrials running around doing van damage,
Van damage.
Yeah.
Like Jean-Claude?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
He does switch between semis,
Yeah, right? Oh my gosh. Well, okay, so I kind of wanted to transition the talk into the bells and the frequencies and sound frequencies. Okay, because I'm going to say around, it was last century. I'm going to say around World War II. I'm going to say the Schmott, we call them the Schmotzies over here. Okay, the Schmotzies, the Germans, were going up and rounding up all the bells, and they were taking them in. They did it in the United States as well. Okay, and I think the purpose, the excuse they gave was because, and I'm talking about bells that are in churches and cathedrals and in courthouses, bells, brass, gigantic bells, and they were rounded up, they were cracked, they were melted. Of course, I think people were told that they needed to use the brass for shell casings and for purposes of war. Okay, for the war. But nonetheless, they took every single bell that they could get their hands on, and they destroyed all the bells and they buried them. Okay, that's according to what I've read. I mean, if you go to local towns, usually there's a church that still has a bell that rings on every 15 minutes or every hour. We have one in my town, but it is a recording. It's not a real bell, and you can tell it's not a real bell. It doesn't put off a good vibration at all. But I think originally they were actually meant to put off a healing frequency throughout that town, right, Barry? Do you know about the bells? You do, right? I mean, that was just a mass confiscation of all the bells there. And you got to wonder, there was a pretty dark agenda when it came to those schmotzy Germans, right? And a pretty dark agenda. And for them, and of course, if you want to go down this rabbit hole as well, we have the Tartarians. There were a lot of Tartarian bells from the old world. And it seems as though a lot of these wars that we've had, and this is on a conspiratorial vibe, and I believe it, a lot of these bells, a lot of these wars were fought actually to destroy some of the architecture, some of the technology, some of the remnants of the Tartarian Empire. Okay, and I think the bells being in the center of towns, putting off those healing frequencies is part of that. Okay, but some people say, Barry, the bells would ward off negative entities. They would keep them away, and the entities would actually flee. We're talking about shapeshifters, by the way. Okay, any kind of shapeshifter, any kind of negative entity. Is that something that you've heard by the frequencies?
Well, how many times have you been around somebody who claims that they do clearings on property and clearings on people, and they stand around you ringing some crystal bells?
I've had it before. Hey, I do appreciate some sound bowls and stuff. Okay, I do. It feels good. It clears the air. It cleans the energy. It's very cleansing.
Oh yes, okay. Yes, it's life changing, definitely.
Well, it is. Okay, look at this picture right here. Actually, so this is a picture from this is vintage or whatever, but they're showing the sound coming out of a cathedral, right? Mm-hmm. An old cathedral. Now, if we go back and we look at some of these are some cathedrals from all over the world. Okay, and I have a good friend of mine. We were out walking around Marietta, Georgia, a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about the cathedrals and how they were actually healing centers, is what she was saying. She is convinced. It's my friend Bryce. She's been on the show before, y'all. Esoteric Atlanta. She was telling me, she said I believe those were healing centers that got repurposed into churches. Okay. Maybe they've been churches all along. Okay. But they were originally had some sort of healing capacity to them. I mean, this is a cathedral out of Moscow. That looks Tartarian. Absolutely right there. But a lot of this is they call it's Gothic architecture. Tartarian architecture, it could be, right? But Barry, we know the power of healing sound, and all these different hertz, okay, that can align your chakras. Okay, it can get you into alignment by hearing the right sounds. It can even be healing. I mean, this is for entertainment purposes only. I am no doctor at all. I have no medical training. Okay. But you can hit certain frequencies, and they say, this is I'm not saying this is factual here because I'm no doctor, like I said, for YouTube purposes, but you can. I mean, according to some declassified CIA documents, Barry, you can say a set of numbers and you can, stop pain in your body by just saying 5, 2, 3, 4. or something. Like, and those are not the numbers. Okay. I'm just saying, for example, you just recite some numbers over and over again, and you're able to stop pain in your body. So of course, sound is going to probably be quite healing.
No, there's something called the oscillation of viruses, and also the ablation of viruses too. Oscillation and ablation of viruses. Ablation can sometimes refer to heat, but oscillation deals with frequencies. And, there's the thing that I don't have that book in here, but I was always fascinated with them. It's called the MWO oscillator, Lahovsky MWO oscillator, multiple wave oscillator. And basically it's this type of static generator that's attached to these two circular antennas, or you can use just the antennas themselves. I met someone that had one at the Omnisphere when I was younger. And, I sat in front of them antennas like twice. And, that summer, my allergies stopped bothering me.
Wow.
I mean, so I've always been fascinated by those. And what it is those circular antenna are supposed to oscillate every cell of the body to the frequency that would be natural for them, opposed to all the disruptions we get. Something I want to bring up that you had just mentioned, okay? The cathedrals.
Yes.
Something about those cathedrals, all right? Like, for example, okay, in this book, and I mentioned this, I don't know, I'm starting to get all confused. I feel like I hope I'm not becoming this parrot that just repeats itself. It's the same crap over and over again. Cracky wants B needs a cracker or something. Anyway, so in this book, they have, if you're a religious person, I believe Yehoshua said in his father's house is many mansions. In this book, which is somewhat Christian vibe, they talk about the mansion worlds, and the mansion worlds being the levels that you go to after death. The first mansion world, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and they're very clear how they describe each world. Now, for those that like the Tibetan Book of the Dead, sorry, I don't have one here. The Tibetan Book of the Dead is really called the Bardo Thodol, and Bardo means the same thing, astral levels. That you go different astral levels you manifest after death. Like, for example, Paramahansa Yogananda had said he saw his teacher Yetisweer, Yetisweer, so I'm mispronouncing that. Anyway, he appeared to him after his death, and he had this shimmering silver thing around with light. He's saying, I manifest on one of the higher Bardo levels, Anyway, point being, I'm bringing that up because Daniel Brinkley is one person. My oldest brother, is another person that has seen some of these. And on the first mansion world are these crystal palaces. And my brother described himself flying past many of them and seeing several of them. Daniel Brinkley describes them, and everyone I've heard, as when they say when you go in one of these things, like for example, the first one is a huge crystal where your soul energy lands on this huge sea of glass, they call it in this book. But they describe the same thing, these castles, and people that have seen them say, we see where the Roman cathedrals come from. They're designed based on this from another world, from another realm. I think that's really interesting. I've talked to a few people that have seen them now, my brother being one, Daniel Brinkley being the other. And Daniel took the podium from me when I spoke at Conscious Life Expo just before COVID, like a week before COVID hit.
Yeah.
And he came in and talked for a minute. We talked for a second. We exchanged up there. Really nice cat. And I followed a lot of his work. He kept telling me, you died for real like me. I was like, yeah, man. He's like, you should write a book, man. You'll probably sell a bunch of copies, man. And I was like, okay. I said, I watched a movie with you. I got a copy of your book. I watched a movie with you. Was that accurate? He goes, for a Hollywood thing, I was pretty happy with it, man. It wasn't too far off. Well, that's cool. Nice exchange with the man,
Wow.
Anyway, sorry, that's not even what we're talking about here.
It's okay.
Conferences and shit. but the Crystal Palace and Cathedral thing, I think it's just worthy making that connection though with the mansion worlds. Sorry.
Wow, I love that. I love making all these connections. And Paradox Fossils, hey Alan, says put chimes in your trees and on your porches. I have wind chimes everywhere. And as you were talking, Barry, I could hear a bell ringing. I swear,
I was just going to tell you. That's
what started ringing. at 12 o'clock
Seraphim,
over here,
the
or 2
Seraphim
o'clock.
use
Sorry.
that all the time. They use bells and chimes. Those of you that hear wind chimes when there are none, that is a major communication from angelics a lot of times.
Wow.
Yeah. Hearing wind chimes when there are none. Or you're outside, you try to find it. Where did that come from? It's gone, only lasts a second, but you hear them. Where did that come from? I mean, that's a major angelic connection, even more so than numbers sometimes, I think.
Well, okay, so Third Eye Tribe says cymatics, and that's really cool because we were talking the other day about, what was it we were talking about? I had Jane and Garrel on from Midwest Night Watchers, and we were talking about, I forgot what the exact topic was. Oh yeah, the star forts. We were talking about star forts, and I had done some remote viewing for a friend on some of the star forts around the world. And so we were showing the cymatics and how the star forts closely resemble not only snowflakes, but the sound frequency vibrational, patterns that are made when you when you measure sound. Okay, when you put like some sand on top of a speaker or something, like it makes a or on top of even a musical instrument or something. I don't know. It makes different designs, and they actually look very similar to the windows in the cathedrals, like the stained glass windows and all the architecture there. It all lines up, Barry. It's really beautiful. But they also have the pipe organs with that kind of music that plays with that sound frequency. But it's the bells. The bells are the big energy healer, and they are said to scare off the negative entities. It keeps all the negative vibes, the low vibes away from the high vibe. It keeps your vibe high tribe. Okay. your tribe high vibe. Sorry, I said that wrong.
It kind of reminds me of Spider-Man. They have I don't want to sound like an idiot, but they got a villain named Venom. Venom can't take loud sounds. And interestingly enough, Venom will be quote unquote like black goo. And that's going to come up in the live feed that I do tonight. I'm going to be talking about some stuff that might kind of lead into what black goo might really be. So that isn't somebody up here saying, the one guy like the white alien saying, oh, I have black goo in a test tube. That is some ferromagnetic fluid that you can order from Amazon. Okay, that's a magic trick. That stuff irritates me. Anyway, never mind that. Frequencies, yeah, that's where it's at.
It is. Third Eye Tribe says the largest instruments are cathedrals. The pyramids and other places also have a vibration running through them. Yeah. Nikola Tesla said everything. The universe is all about the 369 energy, frequency, and vibration. Yeah, we said the secret to the universe is 369, right? Something like that. But go ahead. What's up, baby?
Good.
No, you go ahead. I finished my thought.
When black holes, aka Makos, when they actually collide, they also produce a sound. They don't just produce gravitational waves; they produce a sound. And it's very interesting. You start getting to things like my brother is a little more into one of my siblings had some contact experiences. Now, they're not like mine, okay, but some things have happened to him. And when they communicated with him, he's a musician. The brother's tripped out on music always. That's his whole gig. So they use music to communicate with him. And the ones he interacted with appeared to be melanin dominant with almost the reddish blonde hair, like the people from, it's not Panama. Somewhere close though. Anyway, he described them as looking like that, but they're all musicians. And it came to where, eventually it comes down to how the ships were dealing with some sound too. Some of the alloys they were dealing with were sound, and almost takes into something that's called the theremin. You ever heard of that?
Yes, I have actually heard of it. I think you might have mentioned it before.
I don't think so. I hope not.
No.
I don't know enough about it, but it's those. But some of the sounds it's making are supposed to be quote unquote some of the sounds that are coming from around the planet, the band from around the planet. There's a name for it. My brother was shooting me for not knowing it, but I'm sorry. He'll tell you real quick, man. But it's a certain cosmic type of sound that probably they're harnessing and using.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I have the best moderators in chat in the whole internet, the whole world. Thank you, Andrew. He looked it up. He said it's 5515 for pain. Okay, remember I mentioned that there are you can recite numbers over and over again. These are from declassified CIA documents. And I told you there was a number. Well, he looked it up. 5515 for pain. He said the page also mentioned visualizing a red mist of energy to enhance any physical activity. There's also the touch your head with the finger to recall things. And I was taught that when I was learning remote viewing. If you can't remember something, you tap your forehead with your fingers right here. And you sit there and I've done it many times. You guys probably see me do it on air before. I've been like this. I mean, I try not to do it on air to look crazy, but if you can't remember something, just tap your third eye right there on your forehead.
You know, something even more powerful than that.
What's that?
Take the thumb and rub in the corner of the left here. That is a major pineal stimulation.
On the left.
Pineal crea. Yeah.
Oh man, y'all are gonna see me doing that all the time.
But I won't do it too much because I have to make sure I wash my hands so I get anywhere near my eyes and mouth. There's so many fluids going around right now. I don't want no part of it, yo.
You're a germaphobe, just like my son. Yeah,
hey, he's on it. Be like, what's that guy? Howie Mandel? He ain't shaking nobody's hand, man.
A lot of people don't. I grew up knowing bacteria is good. Everything's fine. I don't mind if it doesn't kill you, makes you stronger. And I don't mind getting too dirty, but yeah, I do wash my hands a lot too, though. Not a lot, but whenever I need to, I wash my hands. So, but yeah, even migraines. Yes, green-eyed crow. I think any kind of pain that you're experiencing in your body. Now, like I said, I'm no doctor here, but according to these documents, they say that is the number that you recite over and over again. And you I would focus on the pain in your body while saying those numbers with the intention. Put the intention behind it. Okay, like this is healing. I'm better. I'm healing. As you're saying those numbers, but just say them. See if it works. Hey, anything is worth a try, especially when you're in bad pain. I mean, I'm not going to say people have taken it so far as to have surgeries performed on them while they're saying these numbers and things like that, but they might. I mean, imagine if you're in a wartime scenario and you or any kind of emergency, and I'm sure we talk about super soldiers, right, Barry, all the time, how our governments do work on the ultimate super soldiers and stuff. I mean, if you can just recite some numbers and not need a shot of Novocaine or something, why not? Yeah.
We should have talked about the bells and shapeshifters. It makes me think of something really funny and corny. Going back, I was a kid of the Incredible Hulk series when I was a kid. I watched every one of them. I could wait to be home on Friday night for that. But there's one of them where he was always messing around where he shouldn't be, sticking his nose where it doesn't belong. And he's at the top of this church, and the bell starts ringing. And he's right by it. It's ringing, and he's right by it. He's going like that. Every time it dongs, and he turns into the Hulk and smashes the bell.
That's another disclosure, Barry. That's more disclosure. Just like Venom, and they're showing us. They're showing us.
Makes me laugh because when he's going like that, when it's gong.
You know what? This is so great because I think that I'm going to be able to make this into shorts after the show today. And I hope that's one of my shorts. Okay. I'll make it one. That's funny, Barry.
I tell you, got people throwing lettuce at me. They already know I watch General Hospital and wrestling. How much more are you going to throw me out there, man? You throwing me out on the street, man.
I love it. It's going to go viral videos. Oh man, Earth Goat Tress, thank you so much for this comment. This is so right. Also, just singing a cappella, the human voice, singing and dancing by yourself in joy and happiness, even if you force yourself at first, disrupts the bad stuff. You know what else is good? Clapping your hands. Clapping your hands, singing a song, okay, it is, and just getting up and dancing. That will change your energy in a split second. Okay, if you need to change your energy, if you're in a bad mood, you don't feel great, get up and dance. Please get up and dance.
That's true.
Sing a song, have fun, put a little joy in your heart, and think good thoughts.
Something else you can do too. Talk to your water. Put something on. Try the halos. Use the halos. Put something like joy and stuff like that. Paper on your water. The people that ring the bells around them. program the water with the halos. Give it a
I
shot.
love you, water. You're
Yeah,
you're
you know
the
what I mean?
best.
And you know, I think too much of it.
So beautiful, water.
Yeah. Well, dude,
Oh my
when you're in
gosh.
the desert,
You're gonna make
when you're
me
in the
so
desert, you
pretty
know
when
how
I drink you.
vital that water really is. But yeah,
It's true.
that's good advice. What they said there, I definitely
Yeah.
agree.
Well, and you know, coming from a mom who's raising a boy, raising a kid, it's so important. I was thinking about that today when I was dropping him off at school. I think about this all the time. It's so important to wake him up in the morning with joy and happiness, and not a bad attitude and like get up, we're running late. You know, I've done that before. I'm not gonna lie. Look, I'm everybody. I'm human. Okay, but this morning I woke him up with kisses on his forehead and joking around, and it was all very light. And I was thinking, man, how important it is. Even as he got out of the car today, I told him a joke. Okay,
Mhm.
as he got out, and he hopped out, and he had a smile on his face today. And so I'm hoping that will last all throughout the school day, and I don't get another call from his teacher. Okay, I'm just kidding.
You know,
I'm kind of kidding, but I'm kind of not. Okay,
that's really that's good advice.
it's
You
true.
know, seriously, Lee, like for years, I ran a very large juvenile residential facility,
Mhm.
um, JJA, and you know, in the morning when I first started out there, I was working like first shift, and we had to wake these kids up. And this lodge, there was about 24 of them in there, and some of them was bad, some of them was cool, but some was but you know, but
Bad kids.
I had to work by myself for the mornings for a minute till the other guy came in, and I'd always get them up and get them to do their chores and everything, and it's the way I woke them up. You know what I mean? What, don't go in there yelling at them like they're already out of home placement. You want to be there? Hell no. So you know, so when I get promoted to running the place, and the guy that had taken my place, he goes, man, he goes, I can't get any chores done in the morning. How did you get everything done with no problems?
Yeah.
Everybody talks about it. And I said, instead of asking me, ask them why come they won't do it for you. And then so we got them all together, and they said, man, it's the way you wake us up. You come in yelling at us, man. He never did that. If that was that big of a deal, you know, so you're right, you know.
It's so important. And Third Eye Tribe had mentioned, I just had that comment up, that there's so many things bombarding us as far as electronics go, with the Wi-Fi towers and the 5G and all that kind of stuff. And that is so true. We just don't know what all's bombarding us and hitting us. And I mentioned sound weapons, frequency weapons, harp, all that kind of stuff. It affects all of us. I mean, every single one of us, I promise you, maybe not everybody, but 99% of the people out here, we're carrying a cell phone in our pocket at some point, or in our purse, or is sitting beside us at some point. We have Wi-Fi in our homes and things like that. That's going to affect us. And yeah, go ahead, Barry.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize.
No, it's okay.
No, I totally
No,
interrupted. I'm sorry.
it was, what I was thinking when I looked at you just then, I was thinking like, even the X-ray machines and stuff. Okay, those things. Okay, and the cell phones. Remember, you talked to us about how the massage therapist was watching as ETs were coming out of somebody's phone one day, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know, since being shadow banned, nothing I put out really gets watched anymore. But I did one probably a couple years ago over MRIs and entities. And you know, I've talked to some MRI operators that tell me they've seen entities around those machines. One of them even told me, you know, I like the X-ray machines more. I'm X-ray tech now because you just see flinting shadows like out of your corner of your eye. So, but around an MRI machine, they're different. And we're pretty sure, we were talking, saying they come home with us and cause nightmares.
Oh,
You know, and when you're dealing with that much of an electromagnetic frequency spectrum, you know, all gambles are off the table. You know, something real quick too, when bringing that up, you know, you mentioned the sounds, and everybody's really hip to the V2K now and the voice to skull technology, but there's a lot more than that. They have targeted dream incubation technology they can do through sound. They have nanites that they're putting in people's vents and doing things to make you more susceptible, giving people implants to make you more susceptible to virtual reality scenario technology. You know, and something very interesting. I mentioned that organization. When we get done, I'll put it up again. That actually does the scans. They're a little expensive, but they do those scans for non-natural frequencies emitting from your body, from the human body. And now they're starting to be able to trace some of these non-natural frequencies back to places like Space Force. I didn't know exactly what that was. So I started looking it up more and what that actually is. And now all of a sudden my feed is bombarded with recruitment for Space Force. What the hell, man?
It's the algorithm. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Sometimes I wonder.
More than that. Why though? Why?
Yeah. We're talking about the shadow banning of the videos and stuff. And sometimes I wonder, I'm like, is my phone cloned or something? And it probably is for all I know. But it's like, why am I getting commercials for stuff I've never talked about before? You know what I mean? And it's like, and I know it listens to me all the time. So I don't know. I'm a little suspicious. May have to go get that looked into.
There's things like the world simulation. Okay. The world simulation. What's the last word on it? Anyway, things like that is very real. And they're trying to map a brain into Google.
Yeah.
I mean, that goes way beyond than just they're seeing everything you're looking on your phone and they're giving you solicitations. They're influencing dreams too. And then you take that a step forward, those dreams turn into memories, those memories into reality, and then they're exposing people to a hive mind. So I've had a weird life, but then all of a sudden I saw such and such touching about it and realized, oh, that happened to me too.
Yeah.
I have memories of that too. That's a hive mind.
Yeah.
No matter how you slice it.
Right.
People need
And
to really look at that. Neural weaponry, neural monitoring. It's serious.
Well, just think about how easy it is to send frequencies out through our cell phones to everybody. Okay. To anybody on a network. Okay. On all the networks, we get those Amber Alerts, right? I get Amber Alerts whenever there's a kid out. I mean, that just shows you they're putting it, everybody, they can target certain individuals. They can target big groups of people. And if we have actual entities that are coming in and out, I mean, and we talked about this with, Sherry Dibban talked about the Black Mirror effect, right? With her cell phone or the television. It was actually the flat screen TV. There's all sorts of weird stuff that entities can get to us. Okay. Especially lower vibrational entities and shape-shifting entities. Okay. And so that's what the whole theme of the show was today. Okay. Was our shape-shifting entities and how the sound frequencies and the tones are affected by them, how they can either use them, like especially on lower vibrations, can use them to affect us in a negative way, or we can actually, we talk about everything being corrupted, Barry, right? With the orbs, the star forts, everything that has been put here for a good reason, for good purpose, to be connected to divine, to God source, the creator. And it's all been, a lot of things have been corrupted. That includes these, the bells being corrupted and things like that and being taken away. But it just all lines up with all of this. Okay. With what we're talking about, a lot of things have been corrupted. And so the entities are able to get into our communities, into our government, in any kind of capacity. And I'm not saying, and I'm talking about shapeshifters and stuff potentially, or any kind of, even people who have dark entity attachments, Barry. I mean, do you think, it's just a question, and I'm gonna have to go here in just a second, of course. But people who have dark entities attachments on them, and you deal with people who have those sometimes, I'm sure, with your regression therapy and whatnot. Do you think some bells could help get rid of those entity attachments and stuff, like sound frequencies potentially?
Yeah. You've got sounds, you've got smell. And most importantly, you've got our intent of will. And once we learn how to focus that and really project that, we become formidable opponents. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw something very interesting over there. Just real quick. Somebody had said they wonder if AI can access the Akashic records. Well,
ooh, interesting question.
I'll probably address that maybe even tonight.
Yeah.
The Akashic records are the black holes, the Makos, as I described. The Makos, or the Akashic records, are black holes. They're the hard drives of the universe. But you've got dark energy, dark matter that is within such an equation. Okay, that would already means it already has access to it. If you look at terms of potentially Watiko or the mind virus, is possibly some type of a bad melanin dominant fungus or something that, you know, could be involved with the black hole too there, and the center of it. So food for thought. You know, it's for all, you got the light and the dark, sadly, but that's, I think, what that equation is when thinking if they can they access the Akashic records. But in my experience, the beings that have contacted me through the divine field aren't on that level. You know, the divine field is real.
Well, that was an amazing question. Thank you so much for that question. A great overview of it there, Barry. I really think that we need to get the bells back into society. Okay, like the real bells. I think it's a good turning point for us as a civilization to notice what's going on. Okay, getting a grip on it, and going back to the old ways. Okay, to run all these demonic entities out of here, and for us to live a more peaceful life. And if it doesn't happen in our lifetime, or at least our children's lifetime, you know, in the future, we got to at least work towards that, to turn things back around, because we have been very much corrupted, and at some point things have really just gone south, as far as humanity goes, when it comes to how we used to be a different type of a civilization, a different type of society. And I guess, like I said, the first step is just acknowledging that it's been corrupted in some way, and let's trying to work back to something better. So yeah, Barry, do you have any final thoughts today? I know I'm going to have to run to go pick up my child.
Jennifer Dodd, 125, Jennifer Dodd. Ooh, that was intense. Anyway, that was intense. I like that one. Man, that was cool. Okay, anyway, sorry. Wow. Okay, that's sorry. That caught me off guard. You can reach me at barrylittleton13@gmail.com. I'm doing sessions again. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook under the suspicious name Barry Littleton. I don't have any cool handles or anything. I'm also on Instagram, and that's about it.
It's easier to find you that way, Barry. Yeah. and you guys can reach Barry if you want any services from him at barrylittleton13 at, is it gmail.com? Gmail.
Oh yeah,
right?
sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Jennifer Don. It was a comment about remote viewing somebody. I thought that was great. Sorry. barrylittleton13@gmail.com. Sorry, I shouldn't be looking over there. I can't help you. You got these geniuses over there that are so quick. I can't help it.
I have a great audience, don't we? Oh my gosh. It's been amazing, y'all. I want to thank everybody so much for being here today. It's been amazing. I've had a great time with you guys. Oh, thank you, Maureen and Gus. It's 55515 from Monroe Institute for Pain. It is. That's where I learned the whole thing with my finger if I needed to remember something too. So thank you, Maureen, too. 55515. I love 5. That's one of my favorite numbers. So thank you for that super sticker. I appreciate that so much, Maureen. Thank you. And your necklace is in the mail too, Maureen. Thank you for purchasing that out of my shop. So yeah, and I do have handmade jewelry in my shop, y'all. Maureen just got a necklace the other day. So thank you, Maureen. I appreciate it. And
you ever notice on TV it's always 5555 for every.
It is for every phone number.
Yeah.
It was. We know that's interesting. I wonder if there's something to that, because if that will help pain, we're saying 555. We're all repeating that out loud, watching that on those shows. That'd be something, wouldn't it? It's subliminal messaging, right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys start paying attention to subliminal messaging, everybody, and just pay attention to what you're seeing out there and what they're showing you, and that's always the first step. Just pay attention to what you're seeing and see past the illusion, y'all. We're seeing past the illusion. Break out of the matrix. I know I say sometimes, like, I think we live in a simulation. So we probably do, but nonetheless, they live. Okay, they live, and there are shapeshifters among us. I believe there are 100%, without a doubt. Okay, so, but you guys don't live in fear. Okay, don't live in fear. Just have fun with it. Okay, whatever we got going on around us, we can't. There's nothing we can do to really change it, right, Barry? Just don't live in fear with it. And when the reptilians start showing themselves, just relax. Okay, just relax. Go to the woods and recharge your batteries, and then come back ready to do what you got to do. Okay. So, anyways, they may just be. There are positive ones too, though, y'all. Okay, there's positive and there's negative, just like with anything. I want to thank everybody for being here today. Thank you again, Maureen, for that super sticker. I appreciate it. And you guys, please come back and see me on Wednesday. I will be back on A Glitch in the Matrix. I have Sean Bond coming on, Barry. Sean's coming on, and we're going to be talking about some artifacts and some ancient alien technology and things like that. So,
Sean who? I'm sorry.
Sean Bond. Sean Bond. I don't know if you know. You may not know Sean. I think you might, but okay. But it's going to be a great show. We're going to be talking ancient aliens on Wednesday. So y'all come back and see me at 1 p.m. and I will see y'all there. Everybody have a wonderful day. Please stay safe out there, and come back and see me then. Thank you so much for being here, Barry. We'll see you on your live. What time tonight?
5:30 Central. I'll be going live, and not for 3 hours, but we'll get at least a good hour in there or something.
Perfect. Okay, we'll see. We'll see you there at yeah, I'll be an hour ahead of you, but I will be there. All right, y'all.
Cool.
Barry, have a great day, and I'll see you over in
you.
Barry's chat tonight, y'all. Okay, bye.